All right, I've got 5:30. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Would someone like to make a motion, or are there any adjustments to the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Motion to approve by Kyle. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Next up is public forum. This is an opportunity for citizens to present items to the council that are not on the agenda. Each presentation is limited to 3 minutes and a maximum of 15 minutes will be set aside. If your item needs follow-up from the city, staff will arrange for that. If you'd like to step forward for public forum, please make your way to the podium, state your name and address, and council will hear your concerns. I will ask again if anybody would like to step forward for public forum. I will ask for a third and final time if anybody would like to step forward for public forum. None, we will close public forum and move on to old business. Item number 5.1, discussion regarding EDA.
Council requested to have this work session. Some council members forwarded information they wanted to have on the agenda, and they were added for council to discuss.
Thank you. Council members, discussion.
I definitely appreciate your ability to come here and sit in on this meeting. I know you're down there for a while, so I definitely appreciate willingness to come in. So
thank you.
I think some of the things that we've been talking about with the EDA, one of them was the concern with the presentations every year. We do need to get some more updates on a yearly basis. I do remember in my first term that we had talked about that when Mr. Peterson was still here. But it is important for everybody to know what's going on with the EDA, especially with the strategic plan that we did. I believe that there's been some studies that have done on things that we should look at, and I don't know that we really moved in any of those directions. I'm not sure if they make sense anymore, to be honest. Maybe it was just a good idea at the time, but it'd still be nice to get an update that those kind of things just aren't really realistic anymore. There's a lot of stuff that was presented at the presentation from the last meeting that I didn't even know about. It's great that there's some businesses that are interested in some parcels. I didn't really know anything about it. We're really hoping that there's an opportunity to find out a little bit more about what's going on here. It is nice that we have the EDA meetings now being broadcasted. So I was able to kind of listen through all that, and that was enjoyable. So I am glad that the mayor proposed that we start doing that. So can we hear more about the businesses that are interested in going into that for the public record, or?
Yeah, to my knowledge, we requested proposals from the two interested parties in that land, which I thought was kind of unusual. That parcel has been for sale for years and years and years, and those parties have been, they knew about those. They haven't both come in at approximately the same time, which kind of just a strange coincidence. I think I've seen at Scott's proposal. I know that much. I don't think, and I'm not privy to everything, that we've got one from the other interested party. They're requested to, by the city, to give a, ask for a proposal. What's their intended use? What's it for? What do you want to do with it? What's your needs? So on and so forth. To my knowledge, we haven't got one from,
Correct.
that is correct, right,
Correct.
Marcy?
Yep.
So that's kind of where it stands. That I'm privy to anyways,
Sure.
if that's the question.
I think they both want it for storage, basically, production from storage.
And we know what AdScott wants it for. They laid it out in their proposal. Have you seen that, Kyle?
I haven't seen.
Oh, yeah.
Anything.
It's
So,
a public record, but, they're adding on to their current facilities, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a 100 by 120 foot clear span building, 10,000 whatever 200 square feet. They project to hire a dozen or 15 new employees. That's a big deal in this town.
right.
Good paying jobs. And they cannot wait for the city council or government to figure out what they're gonna do before they build. Things are going too fast. And so they decided to build anyways on their property. And what they would use the vacant property, because they're taking up all their outside storage right now to build the new building, they won't have that outside area. So they would use the new acquired land for storage and staging of their product. The reason they're doing this big expansion is they're hoping to get a large contract from the government for their product. That's what I understand the proposal said.
I think they have.
I think they got, it's my understanding that they are fairly confident they've got that contract, or?
It hasn't been awarded.
Okay.
I looked on there's websites I can go to. They have held DoD contracts in the past, with the government. The last one I believe was 2022. I don't have it in front of me. But this is a pending where my understanding is that they have to have proof that they have the facility space before the contract can be awarded as part of the.
They don't want someone.
They must be fairly sure if they're gonna spend $2, $3, $4 million putting up a new building.
Sure.
And
I know
they've done business where this tower business has been, yeah, I mean, may have even started partially on government contract. I know it was big during for communication towers when we were in Iraq and Afghanistan, kind of in the early 2000s. So I remember when that was, these towers were used in one of the Olympic Games for lighting and telecommunications. And it's a pretty unique piece of equipment that they built.
I mean, it's a customizable thing, depending on what the need is, how big the tower and how tall it has to be.
And it's amazing that it all folds up in what looks like an enclosed trailer, basically.
And you're aware that AdScott has been here for
Long time.
decades and decades and decades. And so Enbrook is not new to the town either. They've been here, I don't know. I met with the owners when they came over from Germany and Holland to begin with. They came over and visited with me, and they were concerned about the dike.
The sewage pump.
Oh, I gotcha.
And we joked, just put your finger.
Yeah.
And, yeah, they wanted to know how it was to do business.
Sure.
and how the employees are. There's all these different interactions businesses owners have with other business owners.
And so I think, we were originally notified by an email that there was 2 businesses interested in industrial property. I don't know if we were directed, that was it the same parcel in that email or?
Yes.
Okay. But that was the first kind of heard of it and no updates. And then all of a sudden we have a proposal in front of us. And at the EDA meeting, it sounded like it was going to be a 1-week turnaround with the recommendation to move forward without any kind of public hearing or anything. If
I think we have to have that.
okay.
Yeah, and I think that was just discussion. It's whatever you need to do to be legal, whatever the proper procedure is, that's where that was allowed.
Because going back to when you met with Brokeg and their concerns about what it's like to do business in town, one concern I have is that if 2 parties are interested at the same time to be neighborly and to have a good business relationship, are we giving everybody enough time to give a proposal? And they might have said that they have interest. Maybe they didn't know that they were supposed to give a proposal, and then all of a sudden, the city is now considering only one option. And that's my concern, is I don't want to upset 2 very good businesses, not just, obviously one's been here for a long time, and the other one's very big, and I want to make sure that we're maintaining good relationships all around.
Couldn't agree more.
So,
Is this lot right next to
Yeah.
Daquist,
I
or
can show you.
It's one right next to it.
is it the one next to
And I
Ascot?
think as important,
That's Brokema, that's
Yeah.
Product Fab, and that's Ascot. That's just. the-
one just needs some other land.
sure.
There's other land available. We have to
That's the old
present,
lot.
what do you need? Here's some options.
They both
We want to solve this issue for both of you. That's the way I look at it.
Is the parcels in question, or the parcel in question, close to both facilities?
It's
or that's why it's-
adjacent to Ascot's property. It's across the tar road, you know, the service, it's not a service road, it's just a little tar road that goes around there. To the north of Brokema, west of Ascot, I guess,
Is
northwest.
there anything?
And the location makes it ideal for both parties.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, it's nice and close to.
There's proximity.
What's that?
Yeah, so the-
Yeah, there's stuff over forklifts.
This would be the,
And have we reached out to Brokeg to get a proposal, or?
Yeah, Brooklyn, they,
Okay.
they.
Sorry.
So Jeff Eilers sounds like he's out of the country. So we've sent numerous emails. I've spoken with the office a few times too. So I have not been able to get in touch with them.
So I guess on the flip side of that, if they are interested, I kind of hope they would have put together some kind of sketch, but if he's indefinitely gone, it does kind of make it difficult to.
No, he's this week. He'll be back next Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, that I confirmed it.
Okay. I don't want to just say we're gonna wait forever for an offer to come in.
The wheels of government move slow enough.
and I think it's an important piece to this is this lot has been unused, vacant for ever at this point. So the fact that not only 1, but 2 businesses are interested in it, I think if we are provided with 2 proposals, they need to go over them carefully, but if we are only provided with 1, I think that's tax revenue. At the end of the day, that's tax revenue that we haven't seen ever before that we would see on this property going to either business.
We've showed that property twice to my knowledge in the last 30, 40 years, and that's too low. It's, I think it says in Brokema's, excuse me, and Ascot's, proposal, they did soil boring tests already on the property. And so, and I think that, unless it was verbally communicated to me that.
I just wonder if that's maybe a depth of detail. If we are looking for another proposal, we might want to wait on more
Yeah.
information just shared at a public liquid.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, that's fine.
I don't want to taint anything.
I think it is important to point out though that that piece of property has been listed improperly as over 2 acres in size, not in the size chunk that it is.
Like 8/10 of an acre.
Yeah,
Okay.
now I need this.
So the time turnaround for proposal, when did that go out to Brokegama for that 1 week? That was recommended by the EDA.
They actually haven't, since I haven't spoken with him, it's all been emails and voicemails and just, he doesn't know there's a deadline really, other than we'd like his information. But there's been no response.
Who's been talking to these businesses on behalf of the city?
I know initially Ascot, I believe, was reaching out to Leslie, and now they've directed the calls to us and emails. Brokema has been in touch with us directly. They reached out and said, so Ascot had let Leslie know they were interested. Brokema had let the city know they were interested. And then Tabitha had let them know this is what, because we know from the city attorney, this is what you need to do. And she forwarded all the steps to Brokema of what was needed to present the plan to council. And
So we don't have any worries of conflicts of interest between potential EDA board members and the businesses?
You might possibly have a conflict of interest with me, because I do work for Ascot. I do work for Ascot. The whole town is pretty common, and we all do a lot of work for each other. You work with East Central Electric, we all buy electricity from them.
I don't work for EC anymore. Yeah, but I'm sure Justin would be happy, so.
Who expressed interest first?
that's hard. We'd have to go back and read. Because one was contacting one and Brokema was contacting the city. So pretty much the same time though. I mean, it came in, I want to say even the same week of, it's been a few weeks now.
So that's one issue I think that we have to address right away so that we don't keep running into that hiccup. If people are reaching out to the county economic development, is that what it is? Economic development position? Then the county doesn't have the authority to negotiate on the city's behalf. And it's definitely not really fun to find out after the fact that there's a proposal that they maybe worked out the deals with, right? That should all be going either through the EDA and the city, depending on how the parcels are broken up. And Tabitha, I mean, we should all be aware of that. It shouldn't be Leslie having those negotiations.
No, yeah. And we have to remember, it was just recently, yeah, it's just only recently that she wasn't in that role. So
Yeah.
I understand how that would have happened.
She was in the role before.
Mhm.
And she's still pseudo in the role for the county, so I can also see the confusion of if I'm reaching out to a county contact for something and then.
But the county does have our contact, right? So all that information could have been sent to us rather than continue conversations. And that's probably how it should have been handled.
And that's how it could have been handled. I don't know how long they've been in communication. So I had mentioned that we had interested party and she mentioned that Ascot was interested. So that's when we merged our information together.
So it sounds like Ascot was the first one to express interest.
No, I want to say it was pretty similar.
I guess in all fairness, that's to me, that's if they expressed interest first and nobody responded to them, no, it's not their fault. No, that they didn't get a response. It's our fault for not responding. So
No, they did get a response. They reached out to Leslie. Leslie was in contact with them.
and she was in that position of being our.
I don't have the dates with me. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Now this is probably what we need to do a little.
Do a timeline. I understand.
Timeline.
But the challenge, and I'm fine with doing a timeline. Problem that comes back to, like you said, the wheels of government work slow. I don't want to drag this out as a deep in depth forever because a business could decide, you know what, too difficult to deal with, because I'm sure both businesses, if they did go forward with it, want to have everything installed prod by January. He gets back next week.
Yeah, Monday.
I mean, that would be my thought, is that it's very well laid out to him next week. If he has interest, we need to turn and burn on a proposal, and then we can go on from there. But I think just from the interest of the parcel itself and potential conflict, I think that the proposal should be considered by the council, not by the EDA, just so we eliminate any kind of questions. That would be my thought. I don't know what the rest of the council says.
I think it makes sense, and whether we can turn it by Wednesday, I don't know, but we could always call a special meeting just to handle that one piece of information, and get, just in all fairness, them to give them the best ultimate timeline to work with, instead of putting them off till the middle of the month or the next month's meeting. Let's make it work somehow.
Is next Wednesday's meeting not soon enough?
No, I said if he isn't back,
If he gets back Monday, it has
I
to
didn't,
be a couple days.
no, that's not what I meant, Tim. I don't want to put a clean up the year. But if next Wednesday's soon enough, and we're all aware of what's going on now, this is the first I heard of it. You know, so,
Then in all fairness, asking for a proposal by Wednesday, is that fair enough for Broken?
I don't know.
Believe me, I'm not trying to slow
No.
stuff down. If you're gonna analyze this, then you might as well analyze it the whole way. And I don't know if you gotta put it out for public notice or whatever the government has to do. Does that have to be out there for 30 days?
We did get clarification today from the city attorney that with the deed of the property, it is a city property, which we weren't sure of that. So if it were, if it's a city property, the proposals would go directly to council to review and select a plan. If it were an EDA property, that would go to EDA and a public hearing would be required. But if it is city property, there is no public hearing required. We got that in writing.
But you know that.
Yeah,
well,
I'll take 3 weeks off of their
we trimmed a lot there.
yeah.
And then if they did indeed be the first one to
Yeah.
express interest, I think they should get first shot. And if they don't like the proposal that or our counter offer or our offer altogether, then Broken Mountain can come in.
I think it'll be very clear next week what the type of communications are from Broken. If it's a continued kind of radio silence situation, then I think that's our answer. And if there's communication, or if there's even a phone call back that says, "Oh, hey, sorry, give me a couple days to do something," that's more than fair, I think, to give them a few days or a week to build up a proposal. But
You can still call a special meeting to handle that. I don't want to drag it out until July.
no,
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Then the other thing is whatever the city council decides. I wish there was some input from the EDA, just because they got a good understanding of all these businesses there. We dealt with them all, but whatever, if the city makes the sole decision on this, it's imperative that the person that does not get it gets a personal phone call from, I would say the mayor, but
I
you know, and saying, what else can we do for you?
And we have other parcels out there.
A couple of
Yeah, right. I mean, that is utmost important. You want to burn bridges, just send them a letter. Oh, your proposal was not accepted. Difficult government. Right?
No, I agree.
That's how you create enemies.
I agree.
It's a valid point. I do like that idea.
And right away before it gets released to the public.
The only other question regarding these proposals in this particular parcel of land is, do we know if Public Works or the city at any point had this set aside for a piece of property, if there was ever anything need to be done with the sewer ponds, if there was additional infrastructure that
That
needed to be
piece of
built?
property they're not interested in.
Not in, okay.
I have Tabitha texting me that if it is sold under value, a public hearing is required no matter what.
Can somebody point to the map which parcel we're talking about? I'm sorry.
He's got it.
So what you just said, public hearing is,
If it's under,
Sarah, you pretty much, you ever plan on
Either way, I'm gonna have public hearing.
Yeah, I was just corrected.
Well, we're in-
So anything under market value does require a public hearing. So,
You guys just hear that?
Yeah.
So now you have to have a public
If the proposal's under.
If it's under, and we don't know, have we valued the property? What is the county value of that?
79,000.
is it more?
hearing.
73 cents.
Well,
So I
Click on it.
I can say that, the offer is
There's
actually
a time that we gotta set a bigger number or something, just to throw us off.
It's like 43's in my head.
That- If I could
Yeah, say it.
please add something else, if you're gonna delay this thing because you have to, right? You need to reach out to these two businesses. You need your proposal, but you're not gonna get an answer for X number of days because we have to have a public hearing because of blah, blah, blah. Cause they're sitting there
jumping at the
like
bit.
anybody, you know, private, communications, everything. But just like you guys are saying, you want us to be here.
Has the city, Marcy, has the city or you or Tabitha actually reached out to ask Guy about their proposal yet?
Yes, their proposal has been submitted.
Okay, the council's gonna have time to review that?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Regardless, we could schedule the public hearing tomorrow, right? Because, well, that's only if they're both proposals for under fair market value.
At
As to say, if we
Yeah.
have it scheduled tomorrow
At
for
Scott's is.
the second
It's undervalued.
council meeting.
Yeah,
Because it's
get the other
41 flat.
proposal first, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay.
do you see that? 40,
Oh, what's wrong with offering them, hey, here, if you don't wanna wait, you pay the appraised price. If you wanna wait, here's what we can do for you.
No.
You wouldn't wanna say that directly, but I wouldn't do that either, but I mean, that's the only other option.
I'm not sure that negotiating on our part is a good idea. I think we wait and see what their proposals are. It's kind of like 315, right? We had two different proposals and the council liked one, and that's what the option they went with. I'd rather just wait and see what they come up with instead of us trying to negotiate. Otherwise, the business is gonna be like, well, I'm out. So, yeah.
Yeah, I want to make this, in my mind, it should be as easy for them to as possible. It's going to be mutually beneficial to the community, regardless of which business takes on this property. So I think we need to, and I like your guys' idea of saying whoever doesn't get the property, saying, hey,
Well,
these are.
and then the other thing is, how many jobs is Broken will create by having this extra storage plant? Maybe not any. We just want that storage property.
Well, with-
The other is a pretty clear thing, if you're building a multi-million-dollar building.
With the expansion of that equipment they're bringing in, they are bringing jobs in.
Yeah, well, that's, yes,
Yeah.
they are.
Which could be
But
why
that's
they need extra space for storage, because they're bringing that enormous piece of equipment in. So that could be why they're looking at
Maybe
that.
so.
Then it's a matter of this one's creating this one's creating this.
Yeah,
If you're
yeah.
gonna base it
I
on
think
that.
there's growth on both parts for sure.
I think the best thing to do is wait until the proposals come in. Speculation on our part might just not go over well. Or might give them the wrong impression, I guess.
There's nothing wrong with calling a special meeting to have a public hearing early too, so if we need to speed it up.
got 2 council meetings and planning too on the schedule. Can play with too for public hearings, because we could do it at any of those meetings, or EDA, too,
Or
right?
EDA.
Yep, or HRA. If it fell in line with time,
Yeah.
it was, we need to do special, then do
Right.
special.
I think just with the gravity of this, it would be kind of nice that the council takes charge and not a committee taking charge where the council forms it.
Just for the public hearing portion.
Public
But
hearing.
you're saying at a council meeting?
Yeah. Whether it's a special council meeting or the actual council meeting. I think if we're gonna take true interest in the property, then we should show them that we're serious and not delegate it through a committee.
Yeah, because I would hate to, it's fine if it landed that way, it would be fine to do it at a committee, but sometimes I feel like when we do public hearings at committee level, and it still has to come to the next council meeting, and that sometimes is the next day and sometimes is 2 weeks away. So if we could,
with the newspaper's cutoff, if we got it to the editor on Monday, just the notice of a public hearing, that would give us more than enough days to have it on, the 20th council, May 20th. Which would be this.
So is the consensus that we're gonna ask for proposal on Monday from them and hope that we get it back on Wednesday, our first May meeting? And then we'll be able to decide whether or not, well, we'll have to set a public hearing no matter what.
If the second proposal is under Morgan County.
Yeah, that's true.
Are there ramifications too? Could we set a date for a special or for public hearing, and then if that is not required, cancel that? Is that a possibility, or if it's a public hearing of special rules around?
Yeah, be published for 10 days prior to a public meeting.
Yes, 10 days, I know that, but once you publish it, then move to cancel it.
She did the public hearing. More communication isn't necessarily a bad thing for bigger business.
City.
It's 10 days before the second council meeting.
We go in the paper on the 7th.
Is it 10 days or 10 business days?
I think it's just 10 days.
I don't think they'll hold any of that to business. Days. It's always calendar days.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's always, I've always heard. Never heard it.
We'll be tied up until probably about 3 p.m. on Friday the 8th, but if we want to set a public meeting, that'd be a very quick turnaround for those spinning wheels of government, but that might move the cart along a little bit quicker.
Oh, no.
Public hearing to be canceled. Okay.
We can still hold it, doesn't mean it has to be relevant.
It'd just be better to invite the paper to it.
I'd also like to clarify that the EDA, or personally myself, just got informed of this here just shortly ago. This wasn't like long in the works. No, this was like just very recent.
Kind of the proposal that I think we got. Did we get the proposal at the last EDA meeting?
Yeah.
Last week before,
I mean,
and that was.
it isn't like that I knew of anything prior to this, so what city staff passes on to you guys or what, you know, you knew about it, same time we, EDA heard about it. And same with you, right?
I knew about it when I read the agenda.
Well, that's about when I heard about it.
Yeah, so
It was Wednesday.
I mean, there was rumblings of things going on, but rumblings don't mean anything. You can hear that all over town.
I got the email and then we got your update at the last council meeting that, they were interested in the parcel. So it's been out there for at least a little bit. Not just last Wednesday.
I have 2 admin updates that this was addressed.
Yeah.
So
3/20/27, or I think.
327, well then, kind of 327, then 410 and 417.
410 and what?
The
410, 417.
417, the third
Mildly
Wednesday.
March 27th. So, but I would say for sure the 10th and the 17th council was notified of the 2 parties.
Oh, okay.
Any other discussion topics? And
Do you want to try and set a public hearing for the 8th?
Yeah, would council like us to post this on Monday with the paper? for the May 7th edition.
I would say yes.
They'll say that I won't be back until 3 p.m. On what day? 8th, I believe it is.
The posting for the public hearing will go, if we give it to her Monday, it'll get posted the 7th. So from there is the 16th.
Saturday.
So the earliest would be the 18th or the council on 20th.
For decision. I would say that we just give it to the 20th.
Yeah.
Too. But this council would like the notice posted for the public hearing.
Yeah, do you want that in an official motion? Someone like to make that motion for the,
Before I do, does that time work for the other council members?
During the council meeting?
No, the public hearing.
would it be at May or would it be on
No, the public
on-
hearing would be on
the 19th or the
the
20th?
May 20th council meeting. We'd have the public hearing first.
Oh.
And then the decision could be made that same evening.
Same night.
I thought you had to have the public hearing 10 days before you make a decision.
Not that I'm aware of.
You gotta post the
No.
public hearing
Yeah.
10 days beforehand.
Just
Oh.
posting,
Misunderstood the,
Yeah,
the
so-
10 days. Okay.
not just posting. We've done a lot of.
We're gonna do it on the council meeting day.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
I will make that
Motion
motion.
by Kyle, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Dan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other discussion points about EDA that we would like to discuss tonight?
I've got a couple, and they're more meant for a refocus and maybe just to the way that we do business as an authority in the EDA. I know that we had talked about open meeting law and open meeting law practice and training. We're still working on that. I think that's something that's going to be very important to the EDA board to make sure that we're not violating any of those. Under Article 6, number 3 in the bylaws is the financial reporting consistency with audit standards. I wanted to address this because I have heard from city staff that the ask for the financial reporting versus what the audited financials aren't the same. Is that correct? Or been asked to build a P&L and we do a different type of
What were you
accounting?
talking about for that monthly meeting?
Yes.
Yes, that has been, we're working through it where we just don't want to have our numbers altered because it's going on the city agenda and the city needs to be able to, if the treasurer wants to bring in adjusted numbers like a P&L, but the city doesn't do P&L. So then we just don't want it on the agenda because if it's on there, it's stating the city supports these numbers, which we didn't do. So
That's I can say from past experiences with the EDA, it seems as though our treasurer who works at a bank knows numbers left and right, but doesn't understand. Shouldn't say doesn't understand. That's aggressive, but doesn't work with fund accounting or government accounting because we put everything in one pot of money and fill it out with account numbers, whereas that's not how most private businesses are run. They're run for a P&L, where we don't necessarily generate a P&L because there's, the EDA doesn't really generate profit.
But I know the financials have been a hot topic since I've been here. Like, so I know Nicole's worked very hard to get these to a place where EDA liked the way they could read them and have it more understandable. And it's kind of took a turn this year with the treasurer asking for it to be in a whole different format, which then in my eyes was manipulating the numbers. If it's a city agenda, I don't think it should be on the city agenda because it's not numbers supported by the city.
And there's a reasoning given, there's audit implications, correct? But like, this is numbers that the auditor looks at every year and they have to.
Yes,
match
you look at our
100%.
agendas, they look at.
Is that something that, and that's probably a Nicole question, but is that something that through our accounting software that she could build a report that's more similar to what the report that's generated for?
Yeah, we met with the treasurer too on our own just to see how we could make this work and have it be more, because sometimes they'll spend hours trying to get with back and forth with numbers. And I just was like, how do we make it simpler? You know, because she's supplying the numbers and they wanted in a different format to supply. So we've been working on that issue.
Because I will say, when we get the reports too out of BSNA, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah. Sometimes too much information.
Yeah.
Than what you want.
It went for many years, no reports.
Oh.
Totally screwed up.
And I know that was,
We'd ask for reports at every meeting, and we're working on it.
that was an
frustrating.
issue with Pat. That's why
It got out of control, guys. You didn't know what money you had where, period. The EDA was trying to make sure that at least the money, the budgets we had, we could understand and where was it. Because got it pretty much under control now. And I think the CPA banker that's correcting things is correcting it by like $2 or 50 cents or something. I haven't heard anything big figures. And there was a period of time there with past administrator for several years.
Yeah, Larry didn't have a clue. He was here and he didn't have a clue.
It was so frustrating that they didn't know where the money was.
That started with Don Howard.
Thank you. That goes back how far? So we've really been, prior to that, it was not a problem. But then we, through evolution, these different incompetent, well, whatever, these different people, I have to be careful, I suppose. You lost it. And I mean, being on the EDA board, being prudent stewards of this money and accounting for, every dollar of it, where it goes, what's going on, where is it being spent, you have to have a decent P&L statement. 201, 202, 203, where is it? Who owes this money? We got to the point we didn't even know who owed this money.
I know.
It was terrible. I don't know. I haven't looked at the city financials, how you would pick the EDA out of that city financials. Maybe you could show me.
It's all magic to me. They said it was
Right.
Trying to break it down so we could understand. People on that board now understand where that money is and who owes this money, which is really the
It's very current.
yeah.
Very
I thought it was pretty current when they wrote off that electrical outfit and stuff. I think that's when it kind of straightened out in my mind.
yeah, it's been better
Since then, I think.
since, at least since I came on board, we were
Making big headway.
headway. Yes, I'll say that's not to dive into the weeds here, but that's
No,
why
I-
I quit from committees. When I quit committees, they couldn't provide a financial summary, and I said, I'm not voting on something that I don't know if we got money to pay for. So,
And again, just to call out that I think it's important, in my opinion, that we come to the middle on that, because being part of the audit and being audited financial, maybe is it faster to have somebody teach a class about government accounting than it is to try to have a traditional banker and a government accounting try to go back and forth, I don't know, just ideas, but I didn't understand the gravity of the audit and how it pertains to agendas and any numbers that are listed in that. It is very important. So I just want to talk about that. That was all. Not making any accusations or anything like that. Just tied to a lot of things. The limit of powers in here under Article 8, Section 1. There's a couple in the powers part here.
Say the article again, I'm sorry.
Article 8. It's page 5 of 7 on the bylaws. 5 of 7 and 6 of 7. One of the things that I feel council is due for an update is under number 6. The authority must submit administrative structure and management practices to the city council for approval and conduct its affairs consistent with those structures and management practices. Again, something I know in the verbal presentation there was something that was mentioned, but I feel as a counselor that this would be something be very beneficial in long-term strategic planning to know exactly what the practices and structure are going to be to move that forward. Number 5 on here as well, all official actions of the authority must be consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan of the city and any official controls implementing the comprehensive plan. Again, I feel that there's been a couple things that maybe don't support the comprehensive plan. I think, again, just as an authority, it would be good for us to have everyone kind of thumb through the comprehensive plan again to build it into the decision-making prowess that we're using as an authority. The last one is the city council, number 1, the city council by resolution require the authority to transfer any portion of the reserves generated by activities of the authority that the city council determines is not necessary for the successful operation of the authority, with the debt service fund of the city to be used solely to reduce tax levies for bonded indebtedness of the city. Again, I just thought this might, after the presentation that we received and looking at the financials, there doesn't appear to be any activity or programming that's planned for this year. And I don't see any activity or programming that was planned for last year. So does it make sense to kind of take a look at this as a council? Again, just an idea. As if we don't, I'm not suggesting that we sack the EDA budget or whatever, but those are taxpayer dollars. And I know that there's laws around how much you can have versus your RLF activity. I don't know exactly what they are, that's my pay scale, but I know those have to be at certain levels.
That's something that we can get some clarity on as to I see where you're coming from, and I agree with where you're coming from, but at a certain point in time, I would hate to, we've got, as an EDA, about 600 grand in the bank right now. One project could wipe that out with the way land prices are today.
Yeah.
So I would hate to say, cut it in half and transfer 300 grand back to general fund for debt services, and then all of a sudden,
An opportunity.
things start booming again. I mean, I think we've had the Brokamore project went through EDA last year. That was one of a handful of projects that have had, like, Pine City is not an anomaly in the situation with the uncertainty with the interest rates in the federal government right now. Smaller businesses aren't growing. You're seeing the big chain corporate businesses that can absorb the hit, in my opinion, that are going full steam ahead. But you're looking at the Ascots and the Brokamores that are kind of hedging things a little bit closer to the vest because not a multi-trillion dollar company or multi-billion dollar company, and every dollar in is every dollar out. So,
And I'm not suggesting 300,000. I'm more suggesting is it warrant taking a look at If those, and I agree with you, if those are things that are on the horizon, as an authority, can we build some supporting documentation to support that? Here's what it's for, but here's the reasons why. For the public to know, like, yes, you're looking at $600,000. Yes, we haven't had any activity in a couple of years, but the here's why part of it, I think might be helpful.
We have to clarify the long-term nature of EDA. You have to figure out ways of actually building funds so that they're there. So when we went to buy the Orvis property, we had money. We were able to go and do it. And then do some land studies, we were able to do that. And then nothing for a while, but eventually, hotel studies, hotel studies.
How many of those have you done?
And they have them.
I need clarification on what we're allowed to have. What are the requirements?
I think that would be good to know for
I think we should have that.
all of council and all of the EDA board to know where we're sitting at. Because in my mind, yes, definitely there should be, we don't want to see the council or the city whose tax income is about $2.8 million for over that's what we gather in taxes, and all of a sudden the EDA is sitting here with $10 million in the bank account saying, we don't have any projects this year. And that's, I don't think, what anybody's goal here is, but.
And again, just how can programming support the balance? So we have, we're setting aside for extra big job, and here's some other programming ideas that we have to try to help business community out. Again, just something I thought warranted a conversation. Thought I would bring it forward.
If I could add, we don't always know what to bring, right? Right. If you don't have an estate to do something with, and the city doesn't have any money, and if you take it away from the EDA and it goes in the general fund, it's probably be guaranteed 2 years from now you wouldn't have it either.
Debt service only. It can only go to the debt service fund. That's the only place it can be.
And the money is being invested in CDs, getting the best money you can get. So it's not like it's sitting there not earning any money. So yeah, I mean, all valid points, but the
Political will is always towards spending the money. So whatever we got to spend it.
it's got a lot of needs, right?
Whereas something like this is a long-term thing.
Well, I think we've demonstrated in the last 2-3 years, we're not in that mindset. We've tried to fix the wrongs and clean up the,
You've
I
had
mean,
challenges.
if we've had one thing after another, I mean, we could list multiple things that we've been paying for that we aren't using or never have used or used minimally and getting overcharged for. I could go on. I could give you a list of 20 of them, and that's mistakes that went on because nobody checked it. And when you look at, for a while there, I spent a lot of my time just looking at the check register. What are we paying this for? A lot of it's all generic coding. And then if you know the coding, it's fine. When you don't know the coding, then you ask. When I started asking, we're seeing all these things that we're buying, or paying for every month, and doesn't seem to be getting anything from it. And I think we've cleaned up a lot of that. I think this count's not one for just throwing money away.
I think it'd be nice to have a realistic number in mind on what we'd like to get up to and maybe maintain or have a small amount to grow. But look at ways of reducing the tax impact on the rest of the residents. And maybe it doesn't mean that it goes to the debt service. Maybe we reduce our taxes on other things. But every time we take away or out of people's pockets, hopefully it's going to a service that we're providing or something that benefits the community. If it takes 50 years for us to find an object, in a lot of cases, most of those people have already moved on and have died because they just can't afford to do it. So it'd be nice to have some kind of light at the end of the tunnel, where we keep going back to the study and pushing what we're trying to do with local businesses or have updates on it. But just to have it sitting there in my mind for a long time, waiting for something to happen. In my mind, I think we have to go out and find our opportunities and not wait for them to appear. It sounds like with the discussions you've had over that parcel in particular, you've been looking for those opportunities, but I think we need to continue to look for them.
And that's something I'll say too, and I brought this up at our last EDA meeting, is I wonder if it's time. It's been several years since business site improvement since we've handed out a business site improvement loan, or since we've handed out a loan. So it would be nice to maybe look at our programming and see if there's something that we can refresh a little bit to get a new batch of, kind of get this money working in the community again. And I don't know what that looks like and what that is. I know we're also in a transition time where Leslie was kind of taking care of all that, and with her departure, it's falling back upon Marcy and Tabitha and the rest of city staff here. So maybe that can be something we discuss in future meetings and look at options and see what works best. And all we can do is throw a dartboard and hope it sticks at the end of the day. Even if we have the money, we can try to give it away or try to invest it into local businesses, but they also have to apply for it and request it. So,
Well, just for me, in our quest to continually be more transparent and open, I get questions from constituents a lot, and it's just they have 600,000, they want a max levy, and they're not spending any money in this. And okay, so how can we bridge that gap between that to communicate the programming that's available so it's not perceived that way?
Sure.
On
yeah, and I think we're sitting in a good. You guys know off the top of your head how many loans we've got right now? It's 10 or 15, I want to say, between the site improvement loans.
You know, and our, I believe the policy for our OLF is talking about how much you're gonna leave in the piggy bank. Should be looking at the maximum, loan amount. You know, right now it's 50,000. Doesn't do much for a $5 million project. So maybe that's gotta be boosted up to $250,000. Now that now affects what you have. You know,
Right.
There's lots of things involved with this.
We could hand out.
So 50,000 when we started, that's 30 years ago or something.
That isn't much now.
You know,
The drip
a couple
down.
100,000 and sewer and water. What does that thing get from me to you, Dan?
and again,
Right? I mean, so it's 600,000, yes, and we want to be best stewards of the taxpayers. But believe me, I pay a lot of taxes in this town, okay?
Yeah.
So, we have to be good stewards, but 600,000, not to be facetious, in the grand scheme of things, sometimes isn't a great deal.
That's a house.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an average.
Just that,
Average.
business whole.
but then maybe there's part of the growth too. Maybe that's something as the EDA, the authority looks at the RLF policy, and that's something that can be modified as well.
Would there be,
Right.
And again, if the 600,000 makes sense, then we
Well,
went there. But it's warrants a conversation. as
Would
to
it- would it-
timelines.
would it warrant, sending back as a suggestion from the council that they review that policy to see if indeed, like Kevin says, 50,000 nowadays, I mean, it's a lot of money to a lot of people, but the business, it's not a lot. I mean, your spring supplying of your store, I'm sure dwarfs, that.
Gotta have a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, and,
It just sits there, but I like to have it. It's
Right.
gravy.
well, we like you to have it too.
That's, and that creates a whole nother problem. If you're gonna loan out $250,000, the guidelines to the RLF might have to change.
Right.
So there's nothing simple in this. But, because guidelines can be kind of a little bit looser, not as stringent, obviously, as a bank. Because a lot of times we're getting, a form of gap financing, not taking it away from the banks, but quite frankly, the bank wouldn't probably loan them that money, right?
Right.
Well, I don't think you'd be too good of, towards the tax money if you're gonna give out a unsecured $250,000 loan.
No.
Especially given what we
Now, see what I'm saying now, all of a sudden, that's a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. And I guess through this good productive discussion is the only way to figure it out.
Well, I was only at EDA for a month or so just to fill in when the mayor resigned. I think, people we have under know what they're doing. And I mean, I've always been a firm believer in why reinvent the wheel. You got to have EDAs out there somewhere in the state that we can get, we can mirror some of what they're doing in that amount of money. And maybe there's some ideas that we can look at. We don't have to take them exactly, but yeah, god dang it, they made the mistakes. Let's just see what kind of mistakes they made, and then go with that and try to put a program together. And that really does justify having the 600,000 in there when you're dealing with something like that. In my mind, anyway.
An evolutionary step, if you will.
Right? Yeah, I think that's good.
I think your little town can be pretty damn proud of your industrial/technology park. You got a lot of good employees out there. There's not a lot of little towns that have been abandoned by this freeway that can say that.
No,
So don't sell it short.
I'm trying to.
No, I just rah. We're doing okay.
No. One other thing in Article 6, number of 7, that I thought we should discuss is conflicts of interest. I think now more than ever, it is super important, especially every member of the authority, that we are going through how anything that we could do professionally could be construed as a conflict of interest through the EDA. And I know that's difficult, or could be difficult, because if you work for a bank, technically you could be financing to anybody in the industrial park or anybody that comes in. You have a lot of relationships with a lot of businesses. Mr. Sauser, you have a lot of relationships with a lot of businesses, but I just think, my opinion, we need to really utilize that conflict of interest and be extra diligent, because I think we found ourselves in a couple spots that got us in a little bit of
I
trouble.
think over the years, we've players, we've had some deal where we're involved with either, as usually a bank will declare a conflict of interest. Not forward. Doug's been pretty good about that. Something. Certainly we're aware of that.
How many bank members do you have currently?
Right now we have 2, one from Stearns and one from Cranston.
And the third applicant, or a recent applicant, was also.
Well, yeah, and the one from France, it really is the bank.
Oh, yeah, that's in the investment
Okay.
section.
So you have one from a bank, a CPA from an investment firm,
And then now the president,
in which you have instant firm.
which is the latest applicant.
The CPA that was attached to the bank.
Yes.
So that's.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
that would be.
well,
I guess my only question, 2 questions, the membership, the questions that I've got is that the membership is starting to turn into kind of career long, settings. And trying to be polite, but neither of you are exactly getting younger. At some point, this is gonna have to shift. And how are we going about, trying to get people to join the EDA? It would be nice to include more businesses, to get more involvement. It would also be nice to get just people in general that want to try out something with the EDA. And how do we do that? Or once you guys are done, is the EDA just done?
No, you can find a replacement.
So,
prior to this, for many years, obviously, we would brainstorm with the mayor and, maybe not as a full board, but, and mayor would, maybe get 1 or 2 suggestions. Business, that the current board may know of, and wherever else the mayor would get his suggestions from you council people. And, is the person a resident of the city? Does he have some business experience? What involvement does he have? What qualifications does he have? And whether the mayor would reach out to him. That's how it was done prior to that. That was one way, who was pretty much,
We've been reaching out, you know, like in our news or news stories on our website and stuff, and asking people. And I think we've only had the president of the bank, Mark, is his name Mark?
Mark Iverson.
Yeah, Mark. I met him about 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. He was the only one I think I can remember that signed up for EDA, wasn't it?
right.
And we got a lot of people that want to be in Park and Rec and that kind of stuff. Everybody wants to have
We
fun.
have another business owner trying to entice them to come on to the EDA. Not a banker, got enough bankers. But
Tough, you know, a lot of the small business, you know, Mr. Sauer, he's a one-man show. I mean, when he leaves, no, I know, but
Really?
what
Doesn't have to take
management wise, I mean, well, maybe your wife does run the show, I guess. I don't know. But I've been just saying that, you know, a lot of these smaller businesses, I think when they leave, the business is gone. I mean, they're nothing, they can't take off to do this stuff. So, but there's gotta be somebody out there that you can talk to, I would think.
it's nice to have people on the EDA board that can meet almost at a drop of a hat with the business owners coming to town. They want to meet with somebody from the city, EDA member. I mean, that's nice to have that. If that's at all possible, would be one of the people,
Yes,
you know, because Brookma's dignitaries are going to come into town. They want a, you know, representative from the EDA has given them some money. You know, it's pretty hard. Well, you know, not available till 6 p.m.
right. Yeah, no, that was
that cut it in that world.
in that exact instance, I was able to take the tour when Representative Stauber was here, and there was a tour of that, and they had the bigwigs in from Amsterdam and Germany, and we got the whole tour of Brookma,
Yes, and I was there. Mm-hmm.
and it was nice to. They said several times it was nice to have a
You bet, dude. They feel support, you know. Sometimes it's the face you put forward and the welcome mat. And you know, it's not always how many dollars you give them. So, yeah, how you solve that, I don't know.
Gotta have somebody with some enthusiasm.
That cares. It shows up.
Are you saying I don't have enthusiasm or what?
I'm looking at you, but no, I'm not saying.
There was some pretty good eye contact.
Yeah, there was. That was going like, who are you working for? That's what I was thinking.
Another electric company.
You know, all
Not a competitor because we don't have any competitors.
yeah, right. Okay, I might put that.
Okay. We make a recommendation. We get the conflict of interest. We just went through conflict of interest at HRA due to that grant application. So I think we might have something framework that we can throw out at the next EDA meeting that we can go through and review and sign off on.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, part of the conflict of interest, it seems like just about anybody that joins the EDA for business, they're probably gonna have business with everybody else to some extent, I would think. There's certain deals like this thing with the land where I'd like it to go through the council just to eliminate the conflict. That would be my criteria if we're selling off city property. Obviously, the EDA has their own stuff. But the city stuff should go through the city just to avoid that conflict. Other point, I want to get back to having a set yearly meeting that everybody knows what's going on. Hopefully we could set that now and come up with a time that works for somebody from the EDA to get that presentation. I'd like to get back into that annually. I think the broadcasting is a really, really good step for that transparency and that communication. But those are my thoughts. So
Wouldn't that be a good timeline? Would that timeline be, budget time? I mean, it is part of our budget.
It is budget time.
Well, we usually start in September.
well, we start building it in
Yeah,
June.
well, I mean, I'm talking about where we get together and start talking.
When we, in the bylaws in Article 9, sorry, I have to do my Roman numerals in my head really quick. The treasurer shall prepare an annual budget projecting anticipated expenses and sources of revenue. Said budget shall be reviewed by the authority and submitted to city council for approval by August 1st each year, or follow the budget process for city departments.
Which would be the budget season, correct? Yep.
Yeah, and we don't finish a lot of that. I mean, we'd love to get it done.
But for the preliminary.
Yeah,
That's when we,
for the preliminary, we had to get it done, and that would be a good time to have that report.
But we don't necessarily need a deep dive. We'll
No,
point to
just
how
a-
things went and where
just a-
things are
yeah.
intended to
Yeah,
go.
well, our budget is not a highly detailed thing,
No,
it's just a
no.
few items on it. That's complicated.
But it would be nice to know if a past study that was paid for doesn't make any sense and we're going away from that. If we have in this situation, or if there's opportunities that you'd like to pursue, maybe it's really pushing Orvis property, and what your thoughts were for it, just so the people know.
You want to set a date? Is that what you want to do, Mayor?
I think that the EDA should come up with a date kind of in those parameters and come back with a suggestion or a couple of suggestions that might work.
yeah, I
Maybe
think.
we can add that to the next agenda.
Please do.
Okay, that's fine.
You're right. If we did it before our preliminary budget is set,
Too bad.
it would be probably best if it's in, we set prelims up September, or, so we had it in the month of July or August, I think. This says August 1st.
By August 1st.
So if it was in the month of July, then it's on the front of everyone's minds come budget time. That makes. I was thinking winter at first, but this makes almost more sense of, hey, we're looking for more money. We're looking for this much in our budget to cover. This is
Programming.
This is what our programming is looking like for the next 12 months.
The payments that these people that are getting loans, that monthly or is that yearly or quarterly?
Monthly, but
Yeah.
there's one out that pays, interest yearly, and then there's balloons, and there's been a request to extend that and whatever.
That's the information I would like.
And those, you do have two council people that are on there.
Right, no, I understand.
So it isn't like, should be familiar
But
with
we
what's going
can't-
on. They're sharing stuff.
The challenge is that if the mayor, Mr. Swanson, came to me and said, this is what's going on, that's a chain communication, and that's violation. It would have to route through our city administrator and then come to the rest of the council, or they would have to give an update. And sometimes I think different people have different perspectives on things and what's important. And I'm not necessarily saying that the council doesn't think it's important, but they might not pick up on the same pieces that are important.
So I'm giving an update, or like if we give an update for EDA, for example, we're trying to cram an hour and a half long meeting into a
30-second
30-second to a 1-minute update. So maybe I missed something, or Mr. Swanson misses something that we weren't.
Technically, we can't speak for the authority as
Right.
council people. Where they're engaged, we can give we don't hold office where we can speak for the authority.
You're getting real picky on that.
Yeah.
I like guys, but I can't talk. It's pretty much the way it is. You've been on hockey bar,
You can talk to individuals, right?
But we can't talk about specific things. I mean, we gotta be real
But I mean,
careful.
Mr. Mayor, you can talk to Kyle Palmer one-on-one, right?
Correct.
But then he can't go ahead and
But then I can't.
then he can't call me and tell me he talked to Hal Palmer. You understand where it's just.
And I can't go and talk to Mr. Hill about the same stuff, because then it's
But
communication.
not the chain.
Serial meeting is what it's called.
It's fun, because sometimes I just want to know what everybody's thinking, but.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you get an X-nay, everything, overlay.
That's why we
That
keep
gets
the
old
city
after a while.
administrator really busy with all of our questions, because she's gotta relay them all to the rest of the council. With all the information.
Sometimes I feel like I'm in kindergarten. I thought I graduated that about 7 years ago.
So, I'm not sure, does anybody else have anything else regarding this? I have one last point, but
I don't have.
I was just gonna chronologize the rest of the stuff, but go ahead, Mr. Palmer.
no, I would go through that and then we can address the last one.
I asked to have this stuff included. It all has to do with Fawn Meadows and the Orbis property, and I wanted it so that everybody had it. It's in a public forum, and I've been asking questions since before I was elected, and since I've been elected, just to try to figure out the impetus of this, where it was left off, and how do we move forward. So all it is information to present. So in here, and it's all out of whack, and I'm sorry, but the first document is from 12/9/2020. It's labeled Fawn Meadows Tech Park Expansion Memo. This outlines the options and a roadmap forward for the tech park and the Fawn Meadows expansion. The second document is the one, Property Development Roadmap from MSA. That's dated 12/8/2020. And that was something that laid out the roadmap for what could be done with those properties if a tech park expansion was to happen. The third is the 2013 comp plan. And I included that because I couldn't find anything in here that called out where the comprehensive plan supported tech park expansion or industrial land expansion in the neighborhoods and stuff. So there's that to look at too. Number 4 is the 3/16/2021 HRA minutes, and I included the HRA minutes because it's the only thing that I could find that called out moving forward with the quotes to council for an April 7th, 2021 council meeting about purchasing and doing this tech park. Number 5 is labeled 3/7/2021 council minutes. It's actually 4/7/2021. I apologize for that. At this council meeting is when the project was called out. It discussed the land use. It outlined expectations. The consultant was chosen for project planning. MSA was chosen over SCH at a cost of $46,850. The 6th document is labeled Fawn Meadows Tech Park Expansion Project Presentation. That's labeled for 2021. Lays out what the path forward or what the thought process was at that point in time. Number 7 is the strategic plan for the EDA that was updated to call out what the EDA is to do with those 2 pieces of property. Number 8 is the Enviro Phase 1 ESA user questionnaire that had to do with the sale and if it was at fair market value or not when it was purchased. And number 9 is the 5/23/2022 Fawn Meadows and Tech Park options. This was the paid for path forward that came from the developer or the consultant at the time. It's a lot of information, but I just wanted to be able, because I know we've had conversations before, but this is the best way that I've been able to find where it started and where it's at now. And the city being a third partner and paying for these studies and stuff, where is our level of interest in trying to move this project forward? And what does moving the project forward look like? Is this a conversation that we want to have? The EDA, we've talked about it at the EDA meetings a few times. Again, just want to get the information out for everybody to have so we can start to identify what we want to do with it. What makes best sense moving forward. Because as we know, the grant that we got goes into Outlot A, and Outlot A will go to Orvis property. So in my mind, there's a piece of strategic planning with three different parties that are involved, being the HRA, the EDA, and the city, with three different parcels that are owned by two different entities. So what can we do so we don't, if we decide to use that grant, can we make a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan to try to bring infrastructure to the Orvis? But what makes sense in our economy and with what we're looking at now? That's all. I wanted everybody to have that.
I think in just looking at the Orvis property when we were out there, and we would visualize the potential would be there for a loop road. And there is enough land there to basically move around, to level stuff off and whatever. Not the greatest land in the world, and Gumboe, but we've got the railroad access there that could be modified and improved if it was, we could do something with that. But if you are going to have something large go in there, then the loop road complex concept maybe isn't right. So ultimately, we have to kind of figure out what's the best configuration to start planning around, so that we could hook up, know where the utility hookup should be, to service that area.
I think that's kind of what we've looked at. To drag it back to Fawn Meadows for a second, or the Outlet A portion. Every committee I've been a part of, or every discussion I've been a part of, has kind of basically, and it must have been that 2022 study that they were basing it off of, or about $10 million to finish off all the road work and infrastructure for the north part of Outlot A. That's also kind of throwing a dart at the dartboard, because we could want to put in, that was plotted for 3 apartment buildings and single family homes. Well, I think if you look at the market right now, the market doesn't really support putting in 120 single family homes and 3 apartment buildings. The market's a lot more heavily on rental. But could that change in a year? Could that change in 5 years? And we see we're switching back to a model where a detached single family home makes more sense. It's kind of a tricky game to play, and you got to look into your crystal ball to see how things are going to play out.
I don't think we're ever going to see a lot of retrenchment in pricing on real estate.
And again, does it make more sense to scale back from what they told us in 2022 and look at just dropping in main infrastructure only, sewer mains, water mains, and comm mains, and then once something comes along, it's technically build ready, and then they, whoever the developer or the builder is, can pull off mains and go. But that part of the infrastructure is in, the roadway would be done to Outlot A, because I agree with the maps and stuff that are included here. It doesn't necessarily make sense, because SFR building is not what has been common in our city for
A couple years now.
Yeah.
And I think this is in my mind, I would see maybe we build out a plan, or look at a plan, or modify the existing plans of something that can be done modularly, so you could kind of eat away a bit at a time of that Outlot A. A lot more affordable for us to have to throw utilities in there. If we've got to throw utilities in there, it's a lot more affordable for a developer. Potentially, if they were building 4 homes or a 50-unit apartment building versus 140 homes in an apartment building, some apartment buildings, or some mix therein. So maybe we look at as you like to say a lot, how do we eat an elephant one bite at a time? How do we make those bites attractive to developers and achievable for the city to be able to put that infrastructure in and keep that momentum going?
And again, there's multiple properties with multiple owners. So yeah, it's like I said, for me, it fits into a strategic planning vision of we have to get A done before we can get to get. So
right.
Again, for me, it was a big aha when I finally got all the stuff together. Like I finally figured out where it started and how it got here. I want to share it with everybody.
And I, reading through this, I stumbled across a meeting that I was at previously from when I sat on planning commission. And I in 2021, and I've totally forgotten about that meeting, but I believe the kind of the feeling at that point in time from council was we would love to just drop $10 million and put all this infrastructure in, but we didn't have the money for it at that point in time. So,
Right.
And I think that's still where we're I'd love to be able to say, oh yeah, here, let's write a check for $10
Well,
million.
even if you did have the money, would that be the use of taxpayer dollars?
Correct.
Right. But if we have a plan too, we can seek, like we have already, we can seek outside potential. There might be grants out there, from federal and state government that we might be able to continue to attract. Again, I just feel that all three of these pieces of property are important. The parkland that's dedicated out there is equally as important. And again, I just think having some sort of plan strategically makes sense.
I don't know which one of the studies it was there, but one of those studies that the city paid for, EDA paid for, that had shared partners in that, did that eventually create that grant that you guys got for $500,000 for the water loop?
It was for that street project. Yeah, those studies
So,
paid it.
yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good return on your dollar.
Not disagreeing.
I guess I just want to point that out.
How
I mean,
do
that's
we
a big deal.
building? That's
Right.
all momentum has been spent. It's been great momentum. How do we keep that momentum? Again,
So let me understand, I'm a little confused. You're saying there's different multiple owners of this property.
Lot A would be owned by
the city.
the city.
Yeah.
The EDA owns the
Or
forest.
Are you sure about that?
if I look it up on Beacon, technically it says the city of Pine City. And then my question would be, not that I'm trying to diminish the EDA in any
No,
way, shape, or
please
form.
don't. I'd like to have it on the balance sheet.
The
I mentioned this, excuse me.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
the EDA is a function of the city of Pine City. It's not a separate unit of government like our HRA is. So technically, the EDA owns the land. The city of Pine City owns the land. So and I have no legal backing of that, if that's actually how that works, but in my head, that's how that plays.
That's why I'm real confused when we talk about different owners. If the EDA really does own, we pay for it out of our funds, which are city funds. Believe me, I've cut my own throat here, but I can't see that legally the EDA property, and if it is, why isn't it on the EDA balance sheet as an asset?
Is that something that we could get a title search on and get some clarification from the attorney?
Please do. And that outlot B, that was a negotiated thing between the county and the EDA, that there was minimal dollars exchanged hands. Basically, if I remember right, this goes back a ways, they offered it to us, and they wanted to get it off their deal, and it worked with our property and our land, and
One of those pieces came at $20,000.
yeah, maybe that was outlot B, which is the park, I guess.
I think some of that was tax forfeit or something through that whole process of the county. So that may be
Well, that might have been part of our purchase with outlot A too. That might have been how we got that also. I think outlot A and outlot B by having a good relationship with the county, with a couple of the board members there. No one that mentioned her name, that's the day, we got an idea here for you guys. Are you interested?
Outlaw A 2016 was acquired through tax forfeiture by the city for $30,307 to Pine County.
There you go. deal.
Yeah, then outlot B was the parkland.
Which was that the same thing, Dan?
It's the,
Yeah, no, I know what I want to be. Yes, was it under the same thing?
it doesn't have it in this report. It just listed the outlot B.
Oh, that's a question of mine. Who really legally owns all the titles to those properties?
Or Orvis would be the city though, because you are a part of the city. So the deed.
Well, then what's it? Yeah, well,
Then we should definitely stop referring.
then what are
to
you
it.
talking about? It's like two different people then.
Yeah,
Because where HRA is its own separate entity,
Understand that.
yeah. EDA is city, so the deed will say city.
okay.
All right, so if that's makes a difference in our plans or how things are stated or policies, that needs to all be,
Yeah, I was under the
No,
impression that EDA only.
Maybe it doesn't change the policy after the discussions that we just had, because the final decision would come back to the council.
always does.
I think maybe we're probably okay and maybe overthinking the process here. It seems like the whole business on here is a good skeleton of kind of things to work on. Sounds like we could look at increasing our loan ability from 50,000 up. That might be a good thing to look at. Sounds like there's some operational controls in place for having the council oversee some things if there's an issue. And it sounds like you guys are on board with having the annual meeting. And hopefully, I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope this isn't the last one for the next 10 years kind of thing. But I think the other kind of elephant in the room is that we have one applicant as a vacant and we got one person that wants to go back on. Mr. Salzer, I know that you've been kind of participating, but you don't really have the voting capability. And I think rather than dragging that out, we have to come to a decision. Are we going to make these appointments, or are we going to keep kind of hanging everybody on the hook and just having a gray area out there? And that's kind of the last elephant in the room. What are we going to do with the membership? Are we going to keep going back to Mr. Salzer and the vacant? We want to go in a different direction, but I think it's time that we make a decision and communicate that properly for everyone. So I guess I'm looking for input on what the rest of the council thinks.
I'll start off. I'll say I'm for. I think you touched on something with. Love you guys both. You're not getting any younger, so maybe there's
back to that old thing.
there's a plan for an off ramp or just for at a certain point in time you're not gonna be able to do this anymore, and we want to make sure that
It isn't like we're trying to get some power deal, believe me, that ain't the least. We're concerned citizens, that's all this amounts to. Saying about power, and what we can do or can't do.
Well, I think we've all seen
Oh, it
the
is.
community spirit that both you guys have. We don't need to get into all the things that you guys are involved in a lot of things in the community, and you put out, all the time. I mean, we don't need to get into that. I think we're all well aware of what you guys do, and it's very much appreciated on my part. And I think that, if you're interested in staying on, if nobody else is interested in taking the job, I think it's kind of ludicrous to say, well, we're going to have one short because we have nobody that wants it, and our bylaws say we can't stay on. I have a hard time with that. So,
just correct me if I'm wrong. The policy is if there is a waiting list, you would try somebody new or appoint someone new to the seat. But if there's nobody in line, or at least that's been the practice for the past.
I thought the EDA bylaws said that the EDA can make a recommendation to the council for appointment.
Right.
So regardless of whether or not they're new, they could decide to go with somebody in the past. In this case, we have technically two vacancies and only two applicants. So
And it's getting hard to conduct a meeting with a quorum. One person that's gone, it's tough.
I've had conversations with Mark and I think he's very sincere about being involved in the community. I think that's part of the Friends and philosophy. And,
It's, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off,
no.
but it says something that he's a new president to the bank and he's, first thing he does is try to get on the city HRA. That says something positive to me in the fact that he wants to work with the community rather than just be another guy that sits behind the
I do have concerns with two people from the same financial institution, especially when it comes to voting and conflicts of interest. That's because there would be two votes right away if it was ever anything to do with that institution. It could be part of discussion or voting.
You should in my opinion, get a real good clarification, you know, what their relationship is. I know that
one works in the,
Josh has an office in there and he's in the investment period, and the other guy runs the bank. How you consider that as being,
Because it's owned by the same people.
but I think to Kevin's,
yeah, ownership is.
to Kevin's point, I think they are a separate, I understood them as a separate entity. It's just that, you know, they're owned by the same company, Friends and Bank, but
Probably
do they-
Friends and holding company.
right, yeah, they just do two different jobs. You wouldn't go to that investment guy to get a loan. I mean, that's not.
No, but the conflict of interest is that if it's a benefit to the company as a whole, then most things through the EDA, you know, when you're coming to that, you would have to abstain. That's my only concern. I do think that's a valid concern, Mr. Swanson, and I think it is part of the rabbit hole. I guess personally, I'm comfortable with putting Mr. Sauer back on. I think you bring up a concern that I didn't really consider from that angle. Can we take any action on this tonight for membership, or you guys want to wait? Or
I have no problem taking action on it.
I think it's fine either way.
so I guess my motion would be to officially appoint Mr. Swanson, or sorry, Mr. Sauer, sorry, back to the EDA.
I'll second that motion.
I've got a motion from Kyle and a second from Dave to appoint Mike Sauer back on to the EDA board. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
And I guess I'd like to see clarification on, you know, Kevin's point about, you know, and Dan's point about, is there a conflict of interest? And can we get that clarification? I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know if anybody wants to back me, but it's supposed to take two of us to ask or something like that. But I think it would be nice to just get a final answer. I mean, if we can't appoint Mark, then we can't appoint Mark. Or if we do appoint Mark, then somebody else has to step up. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I think if we can go in with exact, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense.
It'll solve it for the future anyway, because there might be two people from another bank that want to be on.
So, from my notes, I'm working on the agenda on a Friday. Council had asked, obviously I'll remove Mike's, because I was asked to be brought to the next agenda, so Mike will remove. Also was stated that council would like more financial information. Was this enough to not have it on the next agenda? And then at the next EDA, we will plan the July informational meeting for council on the budget.
Fine with me.
Is July enough time, or is August better?
August is probably better. I mean, we got our report given to us. I don't think we got it earlier than that, but it was like October at our 2026 budget. That way.
Later the better.
But you'd want to present to council before we do our preliminary, so that would be August.
Gotta do something.
I'd say that we shoot for August.
So we don't need to have EDA return next week for an update.
I think we got a
Okay.
pretty good update, at least in
Thank
my
you.
mind.
Sounds good.
And then do we have to take any kind of action to look into if there's a conflict with the second vacancy?
You need a vote on that, or can you just do direction from council?
Um,
We should maybe take a vote on this one.
If you want to, we can. I'll make the motion that we have staff investigate that question in their mind about whether there's a conflict or not.
I'll second.
Okay, I've got a motion from Dave and a second from Kyle, for looking into potential issues with, appointing Mark to the EDA board. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
That's because of the Branson.
Can I ask, and I don't, this isn't direction, but in what you said about communication earlier, is there a counselor or a city staff that could reach out to that gentleman and just let him know what's going on?
I can send him an email tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not that we don't,
that's a good point.
not that we don't want you, we just want to make sure.
Right, he wants to know. I had a conversation after his meeting with you guys. And he needs some, it's good correspondence. You know,
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. All right, any further discussion for this evening, or would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I appreciate both of you taking the time to come in, talk to us tonight. Really alleviated a lot of concerns that I had. So I definitely appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
welcome.
So hopefully we can resolve that whole broken off that thing successfully.
I mean, that's kind of what's going on right now.
That's the most important thing.
I mean, as far as we either gotta stay on top of that,
Mhm.
give them the time they need to get a proposal and do your
Due diligence.
due diligence, yeah, and then do your due diligence, have your public meetings and make a decision.
And I think we gotta, communicate better that if there is stuff going to the county or past contacts, that needs to come to us so that we don't miss an opportunity.
Or cause time delays. Unnecessary, or unintentional or unnecessary.
Yeah, I
think
never
this-
got that.
A staff, not a direction, but a staff to the county kind of, conversation, not, I don't mean an EDA to the county, but, there has to be a discussion that they are directed to the city and not through the county. So,
Yeah, everybody's gotta be talking, for sure, you know. Don't think nobody wants, you don't anywhere thunder.
No.
anything else?
More tax paid for them is just as good as tax paid for you.
I'll make the motion that we adjourn the meeting.
All right, motion to adjourn by Kyle. Do you want to hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Dan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.